In a world that's always racing forward, sometimes we need to slow down and reconnect.
Connect genuinely, broaden your perspective, and share your passion.
Bona Fide Dialogues, where authenticity, creativity, and passion merge. Jack Katz, an artist from the golden age of comic books, began his career in the 1940s and at the age of 95 still works every day. His new book, Beyond the Beyond, is nearing completion and is simply extraordinary, surpassing anything you have seen before. Jack Katz is renowned for the complexity of his art and captivating storytelling. The famous graphic novel, The First Kingdom, serves as evidence of his mastery.
I was introduced to Jack by my good friend and author Matt Sobin at the San Francisco Comic Conference in 2018. Jack is an interesting person, and he has this unique view of the world that just makes you think deeply about humanity and the universe. I asked Jack if he was interested in recording a dialogue with me, and he agreed without hesitation. Jack shared his wisdom, one thought after another, as a chain of ideas and topics that were important to him. I stayed behind the camera. I was there to listen. I was there to listen to one of the most creative minds that ever lived on this earth. And now, I want to share it with you.
Fantasy and the real world intertwine in this interview. What constitutes objective reality? We will leave this question to you.
They think they can find out the exact date of when the infinite verse was born. Well, fine. All right, let's say they say it was a little thing like this, and then it exploded, and this is what we have now. It's interesting, but it's important. So, well, where was this thing? What was around this thing? Was it by itself? How could it be by itself? But they don't want to know about that. They're like little children trying to find out the secrets of mommy and daddy, and how did we get here, and why did we get here? But the issue is far greater. We have what's known as an amorphous system of energies. Amorphous is, there's no ecliptics, there's no, an ecliptic, I'll explain that quickly. All of our planets go around what is, it's like on a record, okay. And some of the planets are about, like you have this thing that turns, okay. And so the ecliptic is interesting because the planets either a little higher or a little lower, but they're within the business. But there's an endless amount of ecliptics going this way and that way and this way. And it's with different dimensions. There are dimensions that we can't see, but they're there.
Do you think some people can feel and see different dimensions?
Well, here's what happens, and I can prove that now. If you take a look at Tesla, he was a genius. He understood all these things. But what he was obtaining is what is known as the engrams. And engrams are the trace memories of what happened before, of the minds that happened before. And he happened to have, within the composition of his body and mind, okay, the ability to do this. This is what we think of when we think of geniuses. I see what I'm doing also as a series of memories from different artists, writers, and stuff like that. Think about how our infinite verse came to life. Think about the fact that in the beginning, there was only darkness. For hundreds of trillions of eons, darkness. It's called Stygian. And then God said, let there be light. But he didn't, but he was the light. And when he did that, he tore a hole in the darkness. And the reverberations of what we have now was an explosion of all kinds of things. Planets, galaxies. It looks like albumin sometimes.
What is on the other side of a black hole?
When you come out of the black hole, perhaps there's some other existence, let's put it that way. And I know what I'm talking about seems abstruse, and who the heck am I? After all, I'm just a comic book artist.
Movie recommendations from Jack Katz.
These are the most important movies that overrode and went through the replication of everything else. And one of them is The Hurricane, 1937. Things to Come, 1936. The Red Shoes, 1947. A Walk in the Clouds, 1995. It's a beautiful movie. It's about regenerating. Mission to Mars, 1980. The Four Feathers, 1939, which is beautiful. The Snows of Kilimanjaro. Okay, The Son of Fury, 1947. Dave, 1998. Pursued, 1947. And 7 Days in May, which is an important movie. It's 1997. Anyhow, these movies are, well, there are others too. These are my 3-star movies. I never give a movie 4 stars because you see, when you see a movie, what you don't realize, all the actors, what they're doing is they're auditioning for the next role. They want to show how good they are so they can get another role. And this is how they live. See? The same thing with the directors and the producers and stuff like that. But you see, in the beginning, the first directors were actually painters.
Intelligence.
Now, how do you explain the intelligence of trees? How do you explain the intelligence of anything? This was built in by God. And people who don't believe in God, and they're going to make these new kind of people, they're going to be called transhuman. They're going to take the computers, make a chip, put it in here, and they think that because it's the compilation or the admixture of all the belief systems and put them into a chip. So they're putting mathematics into the brain and they think they're going to make a superhuman. What will that superhuman be? It will not be the power to give human beings the wherewithal to be able to go out into space and try to change the whole physiognomy of what they are created with. This is it's a shameful experience. On the other hand, most people are not, 99 and 9/10 people in this world are not creative. They do not have the engrams, the trace memories of a higher intelligence or of God's gift of wisdom.
For some reason, I always thought that everyone is creative. We just don't use that creativity.
But it's to certain degrees. See, and this is what happens. Everybody they feel inferior or superior. Or inferior and superior. This is garbage. It means nothing. You know,
I think people were more creative in the past. You look at architecture,
nostalgia.
arts.
Yeah, it's nostalgia.
What is happening?
And we're involved in belief systems, religious belief systems, social belief systems, and they have agendas. And for the most part, most people are involved with agendas not of their own making. It's just like they don't have the self is, again, another illusion. See, my mind doesn't think, I've bypassed this. By the time I was 12, I wrote the entire First Kingdom. I really did. Very badly spelt. And the problem I had when I was living in Canada, when it happened to me when I was very young, I didn't know how I could put it together. But one day, I was about 5 years old. Remember, I had this about 12. When I was 5 years old, my father brought home some fish. We lived in Canada. He brought home these fish in the Sunday supplement in the comic section. And I took a look, and it was the comics, and it shows you these boxes, you know, like this, the Sunday supplement. And it was Tarzan by Hal Foster. I didn't get to, when I worked for King Features, I got to know him. He used to go over my stuff, put in shadows. He was an extraordinarily brilliant man. And so I figured out how to do this, put these boxes. Now, Hal, to show you, after he did Prince Valiant, they made a movie of it. He and his wife come to the movie place, and the guy would not let them in because this was like going to be an opening night, and it was only, you know, he says, I don't know who you are. He says, but I'm Hal Foster, I'm the guy who wrote it. He says, it doesn't matter. So he went home.
So why didn't they let him in?
You can't prove who you are. They didn't have identification in those days. This is a long time ago. When they found out about what this guy did, they fired him. Hal did not want him to be fired, but on the other hand...
Jack, you mentioned to me today, you were saying that you never wanted to be famous. Your art is amazing,
no, it's not,
extraordinary.
I didn't want notoriety.
You wanted to... Yeah, you didn't want notoriety.
I didn't, because I know what happens when you have notoriety. And everybody wants to kill something that's creative. Where does our intelligence come from? Well, you could say, well, it must be in the brain. No, the brain. The brain is only a nerve center. That's all it is. See, if I touch this, my brain told me what that, yeah. If I touch this, see, everything, it's a nerve center. It's telling me what these things are made of, okay? Yeah. The brain cannot create. The brain can't do anything, but it is a storehouse of stimulus response. Stimulus response. Our association with this infinite verse around us, okay, is one with, it's really a mystery inside of a rebus, inside of an enigma.
The legendary Jack Katz is reading The First Kingdom.
Okay, this is, let me see, this is book 2 of The First Kingdom, and it has 6 books within, and this spaceship comes and they meet another spaceship unlike anything, and the people come they come aboard and they see this family here, and they talk about this unbelievable war that they allowed to happen And so they were on the periphery and they escaped. And so they're looking for their souls. This is another thing. The thing goes on forever. You know, well, at any rate.
There's so much detail.
I know. Can you imagine? And this I did with brush and ink. Now I just use the pencil. I don't have the time to follow it up, but I'll just.
And then you read the book. Then you actually read the book. It's so deep.
Some of this, okay. This is Tundran. Now it says, even I have a problem with this. It says, Tundran, Kenmore of Moringan, and had long since forgotten the pain he felt from the straining his muscles to the utmost, and the constant lash of the overseers. He could not remember the origin of his present state. The servitude occasionally, no, of the servitude, occasionally there was a vague recollection of escaping from a cave, and that's in the other book ahead. I'm sorry if I'm not reading right, but I'm not perfect. I'm sorry. There has never been, there never will be anything like this. I'll just see if there's anything else here. Oh, okay. So to put together the pieces of all the people, you have to understand, even in this book, I think I have a series of some of the characters, and this gets larger and larger as the books continue. The story goes on and on. I mean, I can't even describe it. How I did this is another miracle. And I began to realize I was chosen to do this. Nobody else has ever thought of a story like this. This is, he was one of the, he mutated into that situation. So he was one of the command admirals aboard a starship. And I tell you right now, this is not one of the better books, by the way. But it's good. Meanwhile, they make an ore processor here. They think they'll be able to get off this planet. Here are the priesthood, and so they make a vow of solidarity. These hands I made. How did I do this? I just don't believe it. Look at that. Can you see that?
Yes.
I don't know anybody. See, a lot of people do a lot of things in comics. They do. But this is unlike, this is not a comic book. This is Tundran and Farron. They can't get off this island no matter what they try. He tries to get away, and the waves won't let him. And when they finally get to the top, they see, what's his name, Nestor. And
you took this comics art to the completely different level.
It's a graphic novel.
No, it's a graphic novel, but your style is so unique.
Oh, no,
What is love?
It's a strange term that we use, and it's always overused. And oh, you're gonna love the new car. I mean, it's ridiculous. It goes. I mean, we have taken the terms that are really precious, and we bastardized them. and we use them, and many people, this is how so many people get seduced and to coerce into buying things they don't need, into belonging to different political parties in which they have no feeling about.
So to you, love is a very, very kind of special word.
It is.
We don't
It is.
use it left and right.
No,
right?
this is
Love
the,
has to
I
be
see.
special moments.
We don't.
Special.
I know. And it's more than all. You see, and sometimes the person you might have been happy with wasn't born yet, or had been born and died a long time ago. So sometimes there's no synchronicity. It doesn't fit. It's see, and I knew a boy. He saw this painting in the museum, and he fell in love with that woman there. And she was a courtier or something like that. And I said, "How did he?" He says, "I don't know. I was there, and he may have been there, because we don't know how many times we have reincarnated." See, and so, but I went there 4 times, and 4 times he was in front of that painting, and it's as if he said, "My heart is here," and I said, "How did you come?" And I didn't understand. Yes. So sometimes it's not the synchronicity that it's off like this. You know what I'm saying?